it's really just, it's $1, and it's like, hey, and we actually, there's a church out in Nashville that did it one time, and they're a lot bigger than us, but they collected like $1,500, and they ordered a pizza, and they had the pizza delivered during service. They brought the guy on stage, and there's a video of it somewhere, I think, and like the guy's like, okay, here's your pizza, and they gave him a $1,500 tip.
Wow.
You know, like, I mean, and so that's really sort of what it's modeling after, is like, how do we do that? We went to restaurants and left pretty hefty tips for them. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. But it's the way we put it, it's a small act to make a big impact. Mm-hmm. You know, a small thing to make a lasting impact.
It does have I mean, has anyone ever gone through a drive-through and had the person in front of you pay for your order?
Yeah, yeah.
That happened to me.
Yeah,
once.
and it makes you feel, yeah.
And it makes you think about it.
Yeah, and it gives you hope, you know, and it gives you hope, and it's like, oh, there still are people who care, you know, in the world. And I'll never forget when I was at the gas station and I walked up to the girl and I was like, hey, before you put your gas in, here's whatever, you know, just use this. And she just looked at me like, are you serious right now? You know, almost like, are you pranking me? You know, and then she just started bawling, you know, and she, like, I'm a hugger naturally, so like sometimes I get in trouble with that because some people don't like hugs. But I went to go give her a hug and she just held really tight, and I was like, that's what it's all about, you know, just that one person.
Do you tell these people where you're from?
Not really. Sometimes they ask. They'll just say like, why are you doing this? Yeah, and then sometimes we have these cards that we'll pass out. And it doesn't say, it's not like a track that says like, do you know Jesus or anything like that. It's just like, hey, like, this is where we're from. You know, like, if you don't have, and we always say, if this is one thing that we say to everybody, if you don't have a church that you're already committed to, come check us out, because we don't want to be poaching people. You know, that's not our goal. So I always say, if you don't have a church that you're committed to, why don't you come and check us out on a Sunday? And most people, they won't, you know. It's just like a gesture. They're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be there, you know, but you know they're not going to come. But we'll always throw that in there. But it's, the primary focus is not to promote. Whenever we serve, we don't put our name on anything. If we go out in the community, we don't put our name on anything. I actually even tell them not to wear their T-shirts, to be honest with you, because we want to serve first without any hidden agendas, you know. Because if I was walking around with tracts and everything, handing out gas cards, you know, like, that would freak people out. But we just want to be like, hey, this is who we are, and we're available if you need anything.
Whole different message when you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other comments? I don't know. I think I covered anything. Anything else that you guys have specific questions about, or?
No, I think we've got a tremendous amount of insights and you know, picture of your ministry, and we'd certainly love to pray for it while we're here.
Yeah, and I would love to pray for your guys.
There's one question. You said that a lot of the kids come here walking. Now, what about those who are unable to walk or who live a little bit further out? How do they? Yeah. Do you have a bus? Do you have a transportation ministry?
Yeah, we're actually working on it. We have a bid on a van right now, to be able to do that. Right now, we've tried to work with the schools to drop the kids off, but they have not been very cooperative with that. So what we're doing is we're actually looking into getting a van, and we have our hands on one right now. The guy wants us to have it, and so. He basically said, if you can just make a deposit until you can come up with the money, I'll hold it for you. And so we're working on it. I don't know how fast that's going to happen, but that is one of our like long-term goals, is to have that, so that we can, on the refuge side, to have those kids brought here. To be honest with you, a lot of them do walk pretty far distance.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild. And then they'll sometimes they hitch rides with friends and stuff like that. So getting here, they'll walk, but then they always tend to find a way home, you know. And we try our best to put in systems, you know, to like make sure that they get home safely and stuff. But you know, sometimes that's just their culture. You know what I mean? Like they're friends and they call each other cousins and they're sleeping over each other's house, you know, and their grandma isn't even their grandma, but it's their you know, and so like that's just the culture, you know, of the kids around this area, and so we just make sure they're safe, you know, and try to do whatever we can to get them, you know, right.
Family is what family is.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
One of the things, and this doesn't have to be recorded, but one of the things that I heard during this was that some of these meals that you provide are very necessary because they may not have, and unfortunately our colleagues did not hear this part of the conversation about why you stopped providing food at the services, because the children were actually, the teenagers were actually fighting over the food in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't think they were actually
No,
fighting, but I mean they were trying to get the roles
it was
be
just
more,
creating tension,
right.
especially for kids with tendencies to almost like pop off at any moment. You know what I mean? It was creating an unnecessary tension.
Right.
You know, and we ran out of juice on Easter, and you would have thought that like the walls were caving in. You know, because but if that's all you have, or you know, if that's all you can have control of,
right.
You know, then that's going to happen. You know what I mean? And so we just try to be sensitive to that.
Right.
And if we do have stuff, we make sure that we have a lot of it. And that it's evenly distributed, because it just does create a lot of tension. You know, so again, that's part of that intentional piece. You know what I mean? Like, and nobody has once complained, you know, that we don't have food anymore. You know,
right.
We have coffee up there and juice and whatever else. You know, but you know, nobody has once said anything about that.
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at mostly is that can create tension, but it's you are filling a need for these children when they come in after school. You're feeding them, giving them nutrition,
Right.
And also you were sensitive to that once you noticed that was a problem and a point of tension. Then you removed it.
Yeah.
So that the community could still, the relationship could grow instead of it being tense.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's just being that's that intentional piece. You know, and just being. I'm glad that we had that problem. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, because then them kids, I don't know if they pay attention. You know, you never know. You know, but I hope that when they're here, and this is what we say. One of our sayings here is that you were loved before you even walked through the door. And I'll usually add like a little joke to that. Like, I know that sounds kind of creepy, but you know, it is what it is. But we just hope that they feel loved and at home and welcome here, and I think they do. You know, so I mean, anything that we can do to promote that, and you have, you know, some of our older ladies here that they like to cook, and so, you know, or bake, and so they'll make cupcakes and they'll make special trays, and they'll say these are for the kids from Safe House today, and you know, so I mean, like everyone's really sensitive to it, you know, so it's not something that just goes like unnoticed, because we want them to be in community too, you know, and to experience that, and unfortunately we can't do much with them outside of Sunday morning. Just because of the realities that they face, you know, they're very regimented. They're very, this is where you go, this is what you do, you know, because they have to be, you know. And so, but we try to just at least let them feel welcome and loved. Like they walk up and all of them say, "What's up, Pastor Jared?" and give me high fives and fist bumps and, you know, stuff like that. So it's just cool that they, you know, I get to talk to them and see them a little bit too.